What is going on, guys? So right behind me is the brand new Bentley Continental GT V8. Now this is a really cool coupe, especially if you want something that's super luxurious, super fast. So we're gonna check this thing out in full detail and see if it's worth the money. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out the Bentley Continental GT V8. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the price because this thing is pretty expensive. Needless to say, it's a Bentley. It's $271,000. This one is going to be the V8 model, not the W12. And this is gonna be finished off in this beluga paint color, which is basically this black paint as you see it here. It looks incredible. All blacked out Bentley. This thing is so cool. It is one of the coolest looks I've ever seen on a Bentley two-door, and I think if I had the money to get this, this would hands down be the spec that I choose. Now, as you come to the front, you've got that massive, imposing grille that just looks incredible. I actually have the lights on so you guys can see, and it's got that beautiful like glass look on the inside. You can see it great during the day, but at night it really looks amazing. Full LED lights as you would expect on this car, and it just looks incredible at night. But back to these lights during the day, you can really see the detail in that, and it is such a beautiful look for an equally beautiful car. Now, as you come to the front again, you have your Bentley Flying B logo here, and that's going to have this accented line going right through the middle, super aggressive lines as you come off to the sides. And then as you come to the wheels, you have these 22-inch black wheels that look really good, so you guys can get a good look at those there, wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires. And the P0s are pretty good, they get the job done, and they're a good mix between performance and comfort. Now, because this is also the first edition, you have your first edition badge located right there, and I just love the lines, especially how the hood lines flow right into the side lines, and it goes all the way down the side profile of the car. And the side profile is where this thing looks the meanest and the coolest, just in my personal opinion. But one of my favorite things is this window here, because all your windows are going to go down, and at that point it just has a really cool, unique look to it that not a lot of cars have, because not a lot of cars give you the option to roll down this back window. Then as we come to that rear quarter panel area, it looks even better because you have the blacked out bezel around your tail lights, so it's just got that vibrant pop of red here in the back, and you can see that rear haunch just really accentuating the back end of the vehicle, and man, does it look amazing. Now, this one does have a spoiler. It is up right now. You can put it in a down position as well, but personally I just think it looks way cooler, way sportier with it up. You can have your Bentley spelled out right there, as well as your Flying B once again, and then you have these quad exhaust tips. That way you can hear that beautiful V8. If I didn't mention it already, obviously LED lights here in the back. Looks good at night, as you would expect. But let's go ahead, fire up that V8, and hear how it sounds. All right, guys, so here's your key for the Bentley Continental GT. Very nice key. It's very heavy. You have your unlock, your lock, your trunk release, your panic, this nice quilted pattern off to the side, and then your Bentley logo right there. It's gonna say Bentley around it with more gloss black and things like that. Now, you do have a physical key by pushing this button that can help you get into the car if this battery dies or if the battery on the car were to die. That way you can still get out your belongings and things like that. Now, I can use this to basically lock and unlock the car just like that. And I can also use these buttons located right here. I push my thumb right there, that's gonna lock it. There's a touchpad right behind here. I'm gonna put my hand there, that's going to unlock it, and you also have soft closing doors on here. All right, so getting inside of the Continental GT now, this specific one has this beautiful like red wine color. It's just gorgeous and it goes well with the black exterior. You've got the smooth leather here, stitching, this black gloss wood with these aluminum accents, all this quilted leather here. And one of my favorite parts is the detail just in the door handle. You have a knurled finish on the back of the door handle. No one's ever going to see it, but you feel it every time you get in and out of the car. And it's a sense of quality that only someone that owns this car is going to experience every time they interact with the car. So that's very, very cool. Even your switch gear here for your windows, all chrome accented. Even your little switch here for your mirrors, which is pretty crazy. My favorite thing is your Bang & Olufsen speakers. You've got these metal speakers here, and it's gonna say Bang & Olufsen here, but it's actually basically engraved into the leather down here, which is pretty insane. Now, other cool things are once you get in, you are going to have a puddle light that's going to show up at night. It looks awesome and it's extremely detailed, which I thought was pretty cool. And then you have your Bentley logo right here. And this logo is actually going to change colors depending on what you have the interior ambient lighting set up to. And you also have your first edition badge right here because this is the first edition of the V8 model. Now, once you're in here, you've got all of your switches right here for your seats. The seats themselves are quilted leather, perforated leather. You're gonna have your Bentley B basically embroidered at the top of your headrest. Looks incredible. And then you've got this massive opening here because you have this giant door with it being a coupe. Now, other than that, that's pretty much gonna wrap up the driver side of things. Let's go ahead and start up the car and see the rest. All right, so shutting the door on the Bentley Continental GT. Solid shut, and then it delivers your seatbelt to you, which is pretty cool. Obviously, seatbelt is going to match the entire interior, so if you don't like maroon or just that champagne red color, this is not the interior for you because it's everywhere. Now, speaking of the interior, obviously it is gorgeous in here. It is such a stunning look. It looks very, very good. Now, to start the car, it's very simple. You're gonna put your foot on the brake, that awesome B logo brake, and you're gonna hit this engine start-stop button to start the car. There you go. That awesome twin turbo V8 roars to life. Your screen flips like that, and it's just a very cool space. Now let's go ahead and talk about the overall setup. So being a coupe, there are a few things you notice when you first get in here, at least that I notice in this car. First is that you sit pretty high in this car. So I'm at the lowest seating position, and I'm 6 feet tall with big hair, and I've got about 1.5 inches above my hair. So that's pretty interesting. And once again, I'm pushing the button all the way down and it will not go down any further than this. This is the lowest it can go, which is pretty surprising because for something like this, I would have thought that headroom would have been, I guess, a lot more plentiful. I really am surprised that I don't have that much headroom above me. I thought I would have at least 3 to 4 inches above me, but you know, this car's not going to be perfect, and that's just one of the downsides that I found about it. Other than that, you do feel obviously pretty cockpit-like in here because it is a coupe, and you feel like you sit pretty far forward in the car. So when you get in, like my hip basically is on the middle of the door right here. So when you get into the car, you do have to kind of awkwardly get in the slightly weird way where you feel like you're moving towards the front of the car. It's kind of hard to explain, so I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining it to you guys. But those are the two things I noticed driving this car. Now, once you're in it, you feel comfortable, you're good to go. Everything just falls perfectly at your hand. But let's go ahead and talk about this steering wheel. So beautiful steering wheel, all leather. Of course, you're gonna have an aluminum accent located right here. This beautiful stitching coming right here. And if you run your finger across it, you can just hear all the little fibers moving around. It's pretty cool, and it's just a really solid stitch feel. I really like it. Obviously your Bentley flying logo right there, chrome accent here. Over to the right, you're gonna have all of your media commands as well as your heated steering wheel, and then over to the left, you're gonna have these to control your screen here, which is basically a Bentley suited version of Audi's virtual cockpit, and we'll get to that in just a second. Now, one thing I do like is behind the paddles here, you have that same knurled finish that you are going to have behind your door handle. So I do like the details right there. Even your stalks are just full metal. They feel amazing. So even when I blink, just very solid feel right there. And then even your cruise control, which I don't know if you guys can see, it's gonna be way over here. Your cruise control is also gonna have this metal stock to it, which feels very, very nice. Now, to adjust the steering wheel, there's an area under here. It can go forwards, backwards, up, down, all of your good stuff. And then if I go to the screen, here's where we're going to have your Audi-esque virtual cockpit right here. Now, it doesn't have as much customization as the Audi, but I can go through, see things like my map. If I hit the view button, it'll show me this view, but this dial will never go away. It's always gonna stay there, which is kind of interesting to me. I do wish both dials would go away and maybe reappear somewhere else, but that's pretty much the extent of your views. You really only have 2 views, and then I can go back and forth through different things here. And then there's one cool feature on here, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. But moving up, you're going to have full leather up here, this massive speaker for your Bang & Olufsen sound system, literally going the length of the dash. Your head-up display, which looks good, it's going to show all of your important information just perfectly floating there in the windshield. And then you're going to have your touchscreen right here. So before I get into this, let's talk about the actual setup. So you have 3 different areas. If I hold this screen button, that's going to take me to the standard setup whenever you get into the car, just this nice gloss wood, aluminum accent. I hit it again, that's going to take me to my screen. And then if I hit it one more time, then that's gonna pull up this really cool setup with my compass here. You're gonna have a stopwatch here, and you're gonna have your temperature readout located right there. So that's pretty cool. I think that's one of the neatest party tricks about these newer Bentley vehicles. Now, once you're in here, the screen setup is all touchscreen, but I can actually use this little dial here to basically, so let me see here. I can use this to move around certain areas like that, which is kind of interesting. I actually have never found myself needing to use that. I usually just push everything how I would need to, and then you can go through and set up everything to your liking. Now, of course, you have ambient lighting in here, which you can go through this screen and adjust all of your ambient lighting. It looks amazing. It's so vibrant, and you can pick different color palettes and all of that stuff that you would pretty much expect in a Bentley. But one cool thing is going to be your night vision, which is right here. You can turn that on and off, and basically that will show up in your dash at night. And then when you're driving around, you can have that up in the middle and see things like animals if they're going across the road. You can see people, and it's just very cool. And it's actually not going to be typical night vision. It's actually more of like a thermal vision. So night vision isn't technically correct, but I do basically understand what they're trying to do there. It's basically giving you another set of eyes to see people, animals, if you're driving at night. So it's very, very helpful. And then you have things like your suspension, coasting, and then you can go through, adjust all your climate, sound settings, all that good stuff. Now, moving down, you have, once again, more buttons to control everything. Even your knobs here have that beautiful knurled finish around it. As you come down, you have this aluminum accenting, which is gonna go all down here. It looks very, very cool. Your vents here, this nice Bentley clock, your beautiful shifter, which has your Bentley B on top, this same colored leather here. You're gonna push the B, pull all the way back for drive, push the B, push all the way forward for reverse. Gonna pull up your backup camera, 360-degree camera as well, and then I can click to see different angles, side angles, that way you don't scratch up your wheels and things like that. And then P for park is gonna be right there. Dual zone climate control, which you are going to have right here, fan speed zones, heated and cooled seats. Heated seats are also going to heat up your armrests, which is pretty cool. Just a nice little detail right there. You're gonna have your electronic parking brake, traction, hazards, all of your different buttons here, and this is going to control your drive mode. So I have sport right there, which is gonna turn off your automatic start stop, makes the engine a little bit louder. B, which is your Bentley mode, is going to be a mix between comfort and sport. Comfort, pretty self-explanatory there, and your custom mode, which you can set up however you'd like. But I found that custom pretty much replicates B, so I would technically suggest going to B, but it's your car, you can do whatever you want to do. And then you have your wing right here, so I can raise it by pulling up here, and I can lower it by pulling up right there. Now as you come back, you've got your cup holders, beautifully damped area here, this little quilted pattern even on the inside of the cup holders, which is very nice. Armrest, nice and soft, padding, you lift that up, and you're going to have a decent amount of space here. You even have quilting located in your armrest, which is absolutely hilarious, as well as 2 USBs, an aux, and a 12 volt, which even the 12 volt has that beautiful little knurled finish, which is pretty awesome. Now shutting this, you're going to have things like your frameless mirror right here. You're going to have touch sensitive lights located right up here, full LED of course, home link. And then one of my favorite things is the mirror. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you're even gonna have a leather stitched mirror, and you have perforated leather along the entire headrest. It looks amazing. And then obviously vanity mirror, LED light. And then to finish off the interior, you have this awesome little flag right here, this Union Jack flag, which is cool because this is the first edition of the Continental GT V8 model. But it's pretty much gonna wrap up the interior. It's incredibly luxurious and it feels every bit worth that price tag. Let's go ahead and check out that tiny little back seat. Okay, so once I'm settled here in the back, I actually have a pretty good amount of headroom, more than I thought I would. I thought definitely my head would be crushed against this roof line. My hair is pressed against it, but my actual like skull isn't pushing against the headrest. So that's pretty good, but if you're above 6 feet tall, there's absolutely no way. Now, one thing that's pretty hilarious is you actually have ambient lighting here in the back, though most people are never gonna see it. The fact they put it back here is pretty insane. And then I have my own little window button as well back here, because you can roll down all 4 of these windows, which is pretty cool because you have this really nice look to the car since you can roll down this window as well. Now, once you're back here, I am gonna have things like this beautiful quilted leather, perforated leather, standard stuff. And if I fold this back, I'm gonna have 2 cup holders with that same quilting on the inside. I'm gonna have USB ports, 2 of them, and a 12-volt back here. It's pretty much gonna wrap up the back just to see if I would fit behind myself. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So let's go ahead and check out the trunk space. All right, so coming to the trunk area, very simple to get in. You can use your key or you can press the B right here. So once you push that, it's automatically going to open up. And then once you're back here, you've got a pretty decent amount of space. Being a Continental GT, it's still very practical despite it being a coupe. So you can easily fit enough luggage for a weekend trip. No issues there. You're going to have this cool little pop-out 12-volt, if you guys can see this right here. So a little pop-out 12-volt right here, little tie-down areas. And if you lift up the bottom, you're really not gonna have much under there aside from like your battery and things like that. So no spare. And then you also are going to have this really solid aluminum piece, which is great because it's not gonna tear up your carpet and make it look gross. But that's pretty much gonna be it for the back. You guys can see the cubic feet here on the screen. Let's go ahead and see that engine. All right, so coming under the hood of the Bentley Continental GT. Now you have the W12 as an option, but this one is going to be the twin turbo V8. So this is a 4-liter twin turbo V8. It's gonna make 542 horsepower, 568 pound-feet of torque, and that is going to be hooked up to an 8-speed automatic going to all 4 wheels. And this thing is a beast. Now you would think that with that much horsepower, it wouldn't feel that quick because it is a very heavy vehicle with all the leather, the materials, but this thing is just a monster. When you launch control on this thing, it pretty much launches from like 5,000 RPM. It's so crazy. And we're gonna see what this thing is like to drive right now. All right, you guys, so I have my Draggy here, and this is gonna give me the most accurate 0 to 60 time using GPS. So to launch, make sure you're in sport. Traction is all the way off. I'm gonna floor the brake, floor the accelerator. It's gonna rev up to 4,000. Oh! Jeez Louise. Okay, this thing is a monster. Jeez. Woo! All right, I'm throwing these hazards. I'm gonna pull over here. Oh, gosh, that was so fast. Okay, so let's see here. 0 to 60, I don't know if you guys can see this at all. Hopefully you can, but if not, I'll try to zoom in. But 0 to 60 in 3.58 seconds. How crazy. All right, you guys, so filming driving the Bentley Continental GT V8. Now, if you have headphones, throw them on. I'm using binaural audio, that's why I have these in my ear right now. That way you guys can pretty much hear everything I'm hearing, or at least close to. So, first thing I want to talk about is it's very quiet. It's a Bentley, that's to be expected. You would expect literally nothing less. So, the engine is running, so I'm going to be quiet. You can hear a little bit of the fan, faint rumble, and then when you accelerate, nice rumble in the background, but you can tell it's very, very subdued. Now, I am in comfort mode, and obviously the car feels like you would expect a Bentley to feel. It's extremely floaty. It just feels like this, just this very nice ebb and flow. It's a very good feel, and the way it just controls its massive amount of weight is pretty impressive. Now, when you switch to sport, you're going to get a throatier exhaust note. So you get a lot more of the good sounds coming in. But don't for a second think that just because this is a two-door Bentley coupe, this is going to be a great handling thing. It's not, if I'm being honest. It's just a very nice GT car. I'd say an Aston Martin, heck, a Mustang Bullet that I had not too long ago would probably handle better than this. And, you know, it'll get around corners. It'll surprise you, but you can tell it's not very comfortable doing it. It can do it. It's got the rear wheel steer. It's got all-wheel drive, so it has all the necessary hardware to help it corner effectively, but it doesn't mean that it's there to help it corner in an engaging way. So that's the big difference here. This is basically just feels like a two-door version of the very amazing Flying Spur. So this is to be something that's way better looking. It looks incredible. Feels sportier. It does have a sportier handling characteristic to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's sporty just like in a general aspect. It's got a good feel to it. The steering is still super light, even in sport mode. It's like a dial. I could literally turn it by just doing this. It's so light. And this is the heaviest steering setup. The suspension gets firmer, but I can still go over a speed bump going like 50 and probably not really even feel it. So that's pretty much what you're dealing with. So now that we know what this thing feels like in terms of the suspension, the overall feel, let's talk about the power and this V8 engine. So having driven the Flying Spur with the W12, this has a similar characteristic. Just because you're getting this V8 and saving the money over the W12 doesn't mean you're getting any less of an experience. This is incredibly smooth. This is the same 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that's used in things like the Audi SQ7, the Audi SQ8, the Audi RS6, RS7, RSQ8. This is a very well-known engine, and it's been finely tuned for this Bentley even more so. So if you thought it was good in the Audis, it's way more refined feeling in this. Now that may be because of like maybe better engine mounts, damping. The transmission I know on here is just buttery smooth. You see the transmission moving about, but you do not feel the shifts at all, even when you're shifting manually. So there's that. And then other than that, everything is obviously beautiful. So right now it's sunset, sun's going down, and the sun's just gleaming over all of the bright work in here. The leather looks this like deep, rich red, and it's just an experience. This is the equivalent of looking at a sunset, but within your car. That's the same sort of just pleasing feeling that it gives you when you drive this. It's so good. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up my review of the Continental GT V8. This thing is awesome. Now, granted, the V8 is really supposed to be just a more affordable way for people to get into a Continental GT. But the great part is you don't lose any of those attributes from the W12. It's super smooth, incredibly powerful, and this is actually more efficient than the W12, which if you care about something like that, it's just a really good benefit. You can drive it for longer, not have to stop as much for fuel. But let me know what you guys think about the V8 version. Would you get this over the W12, or would you still opt for the W12 if you had the money? Comment below, and if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Y'all take care. Bye.